Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Shades of Shambhavi. I am Shambhavi, and today I invited a friend of mine to talk about her career and education decisions to get to know her better. So this is my friend Shubha, and we're finally able to talk after deciding for so long कि हम कब बात करेंगे इस बारे में. But here we are now. So how are you feeling? We're
To,
finally here.
to begin with, I am to be blamed because मैंने इतनी बार cancel किया है that I feel like a shitty friend. So I will probably take a minute and apologize because I made a bitch not really giving you the time. I kept on procrastinating it, but see, my new year started with a bang. I'm doing a podcast with you with a selfish reason that I want to be famous. So yeah, I'm aiming to be famous after this video.
Yeah, it's kind of foolish of you to think we'll get famous from here, but okay, we'll start now. So this podcast is mostly about your education and your work experience and all that. So whatever you have gone through your life, except emotions and relationships and friendships. So yeah, that side of your life, the professional side of your life. So I want to start with
Yeah.
a
So
I'll
you used to be sarcastic to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So to
have.
begin with, yes, to begin with, I've always been a nerd. Okay. And I never realized that I have this competitive bitch in me until you told me that, shut the fuck up. You're also very competitive. And I had to accept it because I used to feel like, oh, I'm so humble. And whatever I do, it has nothing to do with a hidden agenda. But I was certainly wrong, and I was precisely wrong. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था. I always had a hidden agenda. So for me, it was like when I started off my schooling, the initial, like the 2 3 years of my schooling, I was a good student, but then I wasn't an extraordinary student. And then mummy ki pitai, I think, like my mom taking my case has played a very crucial role.
Wa-
It
wa-
was more
Was
like
it like
a.
this like throughout your schooling, and how was your relationship with your teachers also? Like, were you a teacher's pet because you were an intelligent kid?
Yeah, I hate to break this to everyone, but yeah, I was teacher's pet, even though when I never intended to be one. Okay, so let me be very clear about this. I never wanted to be a teacher's pet, but eventually I became everyone's favorite. But मैंने फायदा बहुत उठाया है. Let me be very honest about it. मैंने बहुत assignments late submit किए, project deadline कभी नहीं पूरी करी. And I always used to, like वो टीचर्स के पास जाके just ask them about the special questions, extra revision कौन
Yeah,
से
yeah.
chapter से करना है.
I
So
think
I've
your
done all of
questions
that.
been there your
Not
exam
gonna lie,
time and all.
taken the undue advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've taken the undue advantage a lot. So that is how it was. So for me, if I have to be very honest and subtle about it, then my family has a very crucial role to play. And when I say crucial role,
In your
because they were
school.
very strict about my school grades, exactly. So they were very strict
Was it
about it.
like before
उनके
10th
लिए it was
also,
very
or just 10th
important.
and 12th?
Yeah, 10th and 12th tak, I had this thing. Like my family was like, see, college mein you will be on your own. And they were, like well prepared in advance ki I won't be with them. So I won't have that, like the family environment around me. And I will make my own choices. Then they won't be able to dictate my terms, correct? So
Yeah.
that is when during my school days, they were very, very, like peculiar about every choices that I've made so far. Even if I'm participating in any of the competition and if it has an impact on my academic, because school हमारे school time पे there was a grading system, correct? And हमारे
You
co-curricular
studied in a
activities के grade भी
CBSE
हमारे
school,
overall
right?
result पे काफी impact करते थे.
You studied in
Sorry.
a CBSE school, right?
Yes, I studied in CBSE. And मुझे interview जो कर रहा है, that person is not from CBSE. Let me just make it a bit clear to everyone out there. So, So I just had to do it. It's just so Shubha element that I had to do it. Because if you remember, we had too many fights about CBSE versus ICSC.
Yeah, it was inflicted by someone
So
else,
yeah.
but yeah. someone we
Yeah,
name.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone we use it as our meme content, definitely. And someone we have imitated a lot. Like legend imitated so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is how it was. So my family was very strict. So I always had this fear that agar mere itne grades nahi aayenge, then I will somewhere, like be a disappointment to them. And touch wood, it had never been a case for me. Uske baad se, like my grades improved. Even I was interested in knowing about things. I always made sure ki mere base kafi clear hai, because I feel that you can mug up everything in this world and rut it out. But
Hmm.
in order for you to understand it better, you have to love the subject. Although until 10th standard, I didn't have any clarity about the career options. Like I have never made a conscious choice कि मुझे क्या करना है. Whatever career, I found it very fascinating, and whatever could come up with a greater pay and could have that kind of respect in the society. मेरे लिए वही career काफी ज्यादा crucial था, and that was the kind of career that I wanted to take it up. It was later on when I uh, completed my graduation. That's when I had more clarity about it. Graduation के पहले में I knew that मुझे कौन से field में जाना है, but उससे पहले I was not aware about the choices that I had around me. Because I was like, see, if you're taking biology, you will only end up studying medicine. And medicine, maybe I always used to aim for the doctors jahan pe the pay is very high. But that's not how you decide the career,
What's
correct? And
the
then there's a government service because,
but what's the first
yeah,
memory you
go on.
have of someone asking you what do you want to be when you grew up, and what did you say? Like, do you have any memory of that? Bachpan ki.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a memory of it. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny to be honest. And I think I have a vague memory of it, but it's very funny because nobody asked me initially what I wanted to become. They just told me, I think I had this conversation with my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, my dadu, and he's no more. So I had this conversation with him where he told me कि when you will grow up, you will become a neurosurgeon. So, like, I think I remember I was in third grade, didn't even know what a surgeon does. Okay.
Neuro what?
And I had this. Yeah, exactly. The term sounded very fancy. I was like, okay, fine. Is this a part of fancy
Yeah.
vocab or what? So that was the first time that we had this conversation. And you know why it was funny? Because nobody asked me. Like when you sit and talk, you ask them what you want to become or what you aspire to become, correct?
Yeah.
In my case, I was told, and in a very subtle manner, that I was convinced also. So, like people used to ask me, and I used to throw those fancy words
Yeah.
all around and be like, "Ha, I want to be a neurosurgeon." But then I knew, someday I will have to get into the gravity of it, get into the depths of it, and really need to know what exactly it is. And then I sat until sixth and seventh grade. I was like, do I really want to become a doctor? Because मुझे तो खून देख के डर लगता है. मतलब I'll go to a hospital. Imagine मैंने 12th भी नहीं पास किया होता if I would have taken biology. So that was a kind of a thing. So that is how it is. And when I broke it to my family, basically to my grandfather in the seventh standard, that sixth or seventh standard, that I do not want to become a doctor. It was a very heated conversation. Like I remember the look on his face. He was all grumpy. He was like, but in our families, mostly people are engineers and doctors. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to break the stereotype. And then
In 10th, what
I
did
think
you
my
say?
dad's side of family has been the worst influence on me when it comes to career choices.
Yeah.
Because मम्मी के side का कोई involvement नहीं था, and पापा के side वाले बहुत ज़्यादा suggestive थे. They were like very very suggestive. So I remember, like, I was talking to my fufa ji, ठीक है, and
What time
basically
was this?
my dad's sister's husband.
Like, what class were you in?
I think I was in seventh standard. Soon after my grandfather passed away, I stayed with my aunt and uncle for a brief period, like for a month,
Hmm.
because like it was too much for me to like take all of that, because that was the first time I saw my dad crying in front of my eyes. And I've never seen my dad cry, and it becomes very, very personal, right? So it was kind of very traumatizing for me, and I was not ready to go back to school. So I needed that break. So I stayed with them, like all of us were there, because I did tell them that, I just want some breather, I want some downtime before, like I resume schooling. And gladly it was during winter vacation, so I didn't really have to take longer leaves because winter vacation start ho rahe the, so we already got the designated number of holidays. So that kind of thing happened. And when I was there, he was talking about his college days, like, how he has appeared for the civil services, how he wanted to be an IS officer. But last round, the interview round, he always used to flunk. And then he told me about the perks and all of that. And, like, jab sixth or seventh standard mein hote ho, there is something called revolution. You wanted to bring in the change. You feel like that you are the flag bearer and you will bring in that, like that democracy in the society jo sirf naam ki hai,
In your
and
family.
you will fight for
Yeah.
people, and your family will be so proud of you, will go collect like national award, Bharat Ratna. So that kind of a feeling. So even I had that kind of a feeling. And when he told, I started like googling it, like I wanted to understand that what exactly it is and
This
how it
was
is going to be,
because you
to
were
be
also
honest.
like a
So
brilliant student throughout, so that kind of contributed to what you were thinking.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And like it was very bizarre because when I broke it to my mom, right, that I now want to take it up civil services. So after 10th, I'll take up humanities. So they were a bit paranoid. They didn't want to discuss it at very moment. They were like, it's fine. We'll talk about it at a very later stage because they knew that if I take up humanities, I won't have a lot of options because people will have to consider this possibility that if you're taking up if you're preparing for the civil services, you may end up being a civil servant or you may not. So you have to be prepared for both the extremes, correct? So that is how it was with me as well. Like I had, like they wanted to tell it out to me, but they didn't. So like what my mom's reaction was, it was very bizarre. My mom was like, "Tu to kuch singer dancer banegi." That is the reason we enrolled you to the dancing class and singing class at the very beginning. What, you wanted to become a doctor and now you wanted to become a civil servant? What is up with you? And
Yeah.
that was the first
Like
time that I
before
knew that
10,
my
your
parents are
career
liberal
changed
with career choice.
twice or four times.
But in a way, I was glad because I knew that my parents are liberal with the career choices. Because it's like it's very hard to see parents being that supportive. And
Hmm.
that to be know that I have a very typical North Indian family. It's very bizarre and it's very, very, very weird for me to come in terms with the fact that they're okay with me taking up a profession in the art form, be it dancing or singing, because I know like they literally spend a sum of amount for me to get into it. And like I remember जब भी मेरा कोई dance performance या कोई भी singing performance कुछ भी होता था, my choices had always been vivid. Like in my first fancy dress, I chose to be Jerry the Mouse. Like everybody persuaded me not to be Jerry the Mouse, but then I went on a hunger strike कि नहीं मैं खाना नहीं खाऊंगी. I want to be Jerry the Mouse. So I didn't know this, that one of the reasons अब मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि why like my mom and dad, they used to sit in the front row and they were like कि हाँ अगर अब हमारी बेटी का dance performance होगा, we'll capture everything. And later on, like my mom told her, she was like, I thought you will end up becoming a dancer or singer because you were so, like you were so
Well,
involved into the process of it. But then yeah, later on it just became so difficult for her. And then she was like, maybe 10th tak aate aate, I will again like come up with more maturity in making conscious choices. So that's when she thought that she should not really indulge. And 10th ke baad, when I had to, because I scored, I got a good grade and all of
what did
that,
you choose
jo
in your
grades
10th?
chahiye the wo mil
Like,
gaye.
did you choose medicine or humanities or engineering? Like, wow, where were
No,
you?
I ended up choosing commerce. And again, it's a story because I was so firm about not taking up math. because I suck at trigonometry and geometry. Like I really don't understand कि हमको क्यों circle के circumference पे ध्यान देना है, and why do we need to know the theorem? I still don't understand. And people are gonna report you after this because they can see someone who's being so against towards mathematics.
You think
But
someone who likes maths will follow me? No.
no, no, you give this very intelligent vibe. But yeah, let me just put out the disclaimer out there. I am like she's like a marketing platform for me. I market her everywhere. So she's one of the most intelligent person I have ever known. So that should be the disclaimer on your video. You have to put it like in bold caps.
Yeah, self-promote.
And it had to be a part of our video to know this. Self excuse me. Yeah, so that kind of happened. And again, I had two choices because I was firm about not taking up PCB and PCM, basically not taking up biology and mathematics. So these were the two subjects I hated the most. And then I was only left with commerce and humanities because उस time पे इतने ही combinations थे, and hopefully आज भी इतने ही होते होंगे if I am not wrong. So yeah, you never know. There's also something called PCBM, but let's not get in there. So yeah, I took commerce because my dad was so much against it. He was like, I am not going to let you take humanities. And there are, because if you don't end up clearing your civil services exams, you will not have a backup. And obviously everybody wants their children to have a good pay, and they really want and forget about the pay. They really want their children to have more career options. Maybe even because my dad comes from a I mean, my dad comes from an engineering background, so as my brother. And my mom has already studied humanities. So she knows, like, maybe during her times, the options were very restricted. Now we have a lot of options, but maybe even they were not really aware. Even I wasn't really aware. And I never thought, that thought did not cross my mind that I should talk to a career counselor. Because in order to have some sort of counseling, one should be willing to
Accept also.
take up the session first, right? Exactly. So that is one of the reasons. And then I ended up taking commerce. Again, additional subject math nahi liya. Look at the stubbornness and the hatred I have toward math. I didn't take math as my
So,
additional
what did you
subject.
score in your 10th and your 12th?
So, in my 10th, if I'm not wrong, the SGPA that I scored was 9.3 or 9.4. And 12th, I guess it was 90.
Average.
So that's what I scored. Pretty much average.
Below average. Yeah.
Very much.
But would you
Yeah.
like
So
how was your overall experience of your like schooling? And would you recommend people your school? Like which school did you study? Was it the same school throughout your from your KG to your 12th? And would you recommend it to people?
no, yeah. So I had changed like two schools. Earlier, I was in Chhattisgarh. So I was there from my KG to second standard. And then I shifted to a different city. And wahan se I had done my entire schooling from third standard until the 12th. So that is how it was. And to be very honest, I'll not really recommend my school because I know I have grew up in an industrial area, and also the school that I had gone to, the admissions are very restricted because they don't really take everybody.
In what
You're only allowed to take admissions if sorry.
in what sense they're very restrictive? Like class divide or
Yeah, so they're restricted. No, not the class divide, as in if your father is not an employee of the company, of the company, then you're not really supposed to, because हमारा जो school था, it was associated with the company where my dad is currently working. So because it is an industrial area, they have to be very, very particular about the security. if they open the admissions to every person, then it becomes difficult and they are compromising on the security, right? Because
Yeah.
I told you, right, I grew up in an industrial area. And when you grew up in an industrial area, there's a small colonized environment that you have. So what happens is when you are there, everything, like even the geographical boundaries, becomes very limited to you. So everything that we had so far, be it medical shop or supermarket or school, everything was within the premises.
Mm.
So that was one of the clause, that if your dad is working in the company or is a part of the company of the cement industry, then only you're supposed to study in the school. And the reason I would not really recommend people my school is because, you know, the mentality over there, what happens is when you're in a very confined environment and when you're in a very restricted environment, your mentality becomes very enclosed, very regressive in a way. Because
Mm.
then you hang out with the same set of people, you come across the same set of people, आपका उनके साथ ही उठना बैठना होता है.
Like even after school,
And it was kind of difficult.
your fathers must be friends in a way or know each other too, if I can imagine.
Hmm. Exactly. So, like, literally, you can't really cross a boundary and you can't do much about it, because even if you do something, even if you do the slightest of thing, it goes to the family, and your family may or may not be okay with it, right? So that was one of the fears, like the constant fear that all of us had. And also, I was an outsider because the people I grew up with, they were in that school since the beginning. They were there since the start. So it was very difficult for me because I came from a very different environment. And when you change from one city to a different and go to a different city, the whole atmosphere and the whole thing about that place is different, right? So they they had a lot of problem accepting me. Like I had been bullied a lot because of the way I used to conduct myself. I have seen this, that the way I used to conduct myself, I had been bullied a lot because of that.
You read by the
And even
teachers,
though I don't,
organization, or the students, or all of them.
no, it was mainly students. Teachers had always been nice to me. I'm not gonna put the blame on them
Did you have any
because,
problem with the management of the school also, or like something like that, or other employees, staff?
yeah, at times I did have a few problems, because what happens is when you raise a concern, right? They were a bit biased, or maybe they just didn't really want to blow things out of proportion. That's when they never enacted in a way they were supposed to. But
Mm.
yeah, apart from that, and that partiality is the inherited trait. You go to any school, you will see some sort of biasness, right? So even I was a victim of it, but I would not really malign it, or I would not really try to negate it, because they have given me a lot of opportunities. Like whoever I am today, it is because of whatever opportunities I had gotten so far. I've definitely fought for it, or like there were at times when the opportunities had given to me because they had faith in me.
Hmm.
But yeah, again, so I think you always have the plus and minus. Like you always have the pros and cons, and you always have to look at both the sides. You can't be just biased toward the pros. But yeah, if I talk about my classmates, okay, oh my god, they were shitty. I was refraining from saying this out loud, but they were shitty as fuck.
Name them if you want.
So even if I name them, people are not gonna know. But I think I've forgiven them. I had forgotten all of it. Uh, but yeah, that the period was pretty much prolonged in a way that like the suffering was quite prolonged. So yeah, it took me some time. It gave me a lot of mental trauma. I don't know. There was something very weird about me. I don't know if it is with my energy or the way I am. So when I got into the school, I got along with guys, and I used to hang out with guys a lot as compared to girls. And that didn't go well with
When
people
did
over
this
there.
start? Like this kind of thing started?
I think I was 8 years old,
So
and I was
just like that
bullied
from.
for a brief period.
Yeah.
And I was bullied for a brief period.
Because you were friends with guys more than girls.
Yeah, and it was also about because I was teacher's pets, and because always had my own opinion. Like
Mm.
I was a very argumentative child. I think I would believe I still am.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the thing that I was like, I always had an opinion on everything, and I used to voice it out because I felt like that, nobody's gonna decide it for me. And that is one of the reasons why like why I was not liked by a bunch of people. And what happens is, in schools you have groups. So to get adjusted to the group, one person always act as a leader and the others are the followers. And I never wanted to be someone's follower.
Yeah. I get that feeling.
I think the only follower and following game that I play is on Instagram, where I am an imposter. Not gonna lie, because I have zero posts. But yeah, it was very difficult, like even if I think otherwise, क्योंकि आप उस एज में होते हो, आप mature नहीं होते, and you can't expect your peers to be that mature.
Mm.
तो उस केस में even like I acted out, they acted out, but what happens is ना, जब आप अकेले बोल रहे हो और आपके सामने और 10 लोग बोल रहे हैं, it becomes very difficult. It
Yeah.
becomes very difficult for you to dodge the conversation, and then you have to raise your voice. And then like once you start, and क्या होता है कि even like guys started to believe that there has to be some reason why everybody is fighting with her, because that is the kind of notion that gets created, because if you're howling on the top of your voice,
That
and if
happens,
you're literally
especially in
picking
school.
up
Mm.
exactly, and if you're picking up fight with everybody, because what happens is when 4 or 5 people are talking together, if I'm talking in a very firm voice, I won't be able to put across how I feel. And
Mm.
us time pe, I didn't have this clarity and I didn't have this maturity ki it is okay to be misunderstood. I wanted people to understand me. I wanted people to understand my point of view, and I wanted people to validate it. Like the external validation was very, very important for me. Like it created a void in the future. I'm not gonna lie about it. That void is still within me, but that external validation was a lot. I wanted that external validation from people. So
Yeah.
in order to put across my point, I used to like literally tone up, and I used to scream. I used to howl. So that's when
That was the only way you will be
like
heard
people
that time.
started. Yeah, I mean, for me it was more about, I have to be audible enough for people to hear what I'm talking. But
Yeah.
then like everybody thought that I'm somebody who's picking up fight. And then like the time in my school was a bit tough, and then my mom and dad, they thought that कि अगर ऐसा हो रहा है where I'm not able to like mingle with people and all of that. So they asked me to like just go for tuitions, like they enroll me into different activities. But then in a way maybe they were trying to protect me, but it didn't do any good to me, because that kind of made me very distant from the people, because I was not really going to the playground, I wasn't really going out with them.
It
I was
isolates
in my own shell.
the
I was
situation
doing my own
actually.
thing. Yeah, exactly. I was doing my own thing. तो
Mm.
उस वजह से like people were not really ready to understand my existence. So I was misunderstood, and to an extent where like literally I started to doubt myself कि शायद मैं ही कुछ गलत कर रही हूँ, maybe there's something wrong with me. Because what happens is when every person comes and blames you for whatever has been happening around, you start to feel, or you tend to feel that you are the one, you are the bad guy, and you must have done something. That is the reason that people are pointing fingers at you. बट जैसे ही हमारा 10th के बाद और 8th के बाद, जो भी मतलब मेजरली 10th के बाद, when we opted for different subjects, some people, they left the school because they had to prepare for IIT, so they had gone to a different city. Some people were preparing for medicine, so they also left. They had gone to like a different city, majorly to Kota, because that's the hub where you prepare for your medical entrance exam and your JE mains. So that's how it happened. And we had a very small group left for commerce, because this school mein main thi, that was one of the good schools for commerce. So I didn't really have to change my school because I had got best of the teachers.
Can you name the school you studied in? Like,
Yeah, it is called Bharati Vidya Bhavan. Sounds very Sanskrit,
yeah.
but nevertheless, nevertheless, this sounds like I've gone to some government school. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the school name. And, I had like yeah, so like very few people were left. I'm not gonna say that there were only like 5, 10 people, but yeah, like there were like some 25, 30, 40 people were left. And when the group becomes small and when people they get filtered out due to different reasons, you tend to understand people, in a very different manner, and you tend to understand them in a better way. So that's exactly what happened to me as well. जब
Mm.
वो सारी चीजें हुई, people came to apologize to me because they misunderstood me for a very long time. So you can imagine, like literally, I got bullied when I was 8 years old, and it continued until I turned 15, 16.
So it
So
was
eight
for a
years
brief
is a long
period.
gap.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm glad decade पूरा नहीं हुआ वरना मेरे लिए milestone हो जाता. But yeah, so that was one part of it. So people came, they apologized, and I felt like, there's no point in holding anything against anybody because life is too short. And मैंने जो भी suffer किया है, nothing is gonna undo that. Like them apologizing is not gonna take my suffering away. But if I only hold it against them, it is going to, like ruin my mental peace, which was already ruined. Like, let me be very specific, which was already ruined. मतलब ऊपर का माला जा चुका था. So that is how it was. But I am glad in a way that, कि जो भी हुआ, I mean, it has made me a very different person altogether because, every experience, it counts.
Mm.
And I believe that, I did have a rough journey, but then I think it kind of paid off because then have somewhere learned to be on my own. I'm okay with the fact that, I don't have too many friends around me. If that is the situation, if it ever arises in the future where I do not really, right now, touch wood, I have really good association in terms of my friendship. So that is one of the reasons, like why I feel blessed. But yeah, in future, even if, I grow apart because, it is very difficult to maintain that consistency. Like, it is very sometimes because you can't be that consistent with everybody. तेरे साथ it's very different. तू कहीं पे भी चले जा, तू चांद पर चले जा. I am always gonna be very consistent. But yeah, you are different. You're family. I don't even count you as my friend. Like if someone asks how many people you have in family, it's like five. It's I, my brother, my mom, and then you. So you're a different person altogether. I don't even count you like when I talk about friends. So I mean that is how it happens. Like even if I grow apart in future, I think I'll be okay with the fact that I've lost a few people in the process. And just because I've lost a few people in the process, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है that like something went wrong, or I did not like them, or they were bad to me, or they did wrong to me. No, I think it is more about that, when you grow, you leave few people behind,
It's the
and
way of
sometimes it is
life.
for the good.
It's how life moves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is how it is. So that is one part of it. I think my school has made me a very immune person. I think my college also contributed in a way because I was adored by people at the very beginning before I got into my relation before I gotten into a relationship. So everything was kind of smooth because that's how we met. I mean, college played a very crucial role, and I think that's how we met. Matlab, me coming to Jane was another story altogether because I remember
Something
how
happened
at
before that also. So what happened after 12th? Like, what did you decide you wanted to go or be?
I mean, I always wanted to end up being a part of Delhi University. So that was the first college that comes into my mind if I track back a little and go to 2018.
Hmm.
So मुझे Delhi University जाना था, but then for some reason, because the colleges that I did want to go to, I couldn't get into those colleges because cutoffs high the, and then like
Even
some of the
with the
colleges where
percentage
the
you got,
cutoffs were apt,
that
वहाँ पे they want,
ridiculous it was.
yeah. Yeah, so like in some colleges it was more like they wanted math as a compulsory subject,
Hmm.
and I had taken up Java as an additional subject along with commerce.
Hmm.
So उस वजह से काफी back and forth हुआ. I had given a lot of exams जिनके rounds clear हो गए थे. I got the counseling letter, but I deleted it from my dad's email ताकि उनको लगे that I
Yeah.
haven't really passed any of the exam, but I got into every exam that I gave so far. And I was ready to waste my entire year. I was like, मैं अपना 12th का exam फिर से दूंगी, and I'll score. I'll try to score 95, 96, and maybe that's when I'll get my preferred college. But then my parents were not very willing on, were not willing on me wasting my entire year. So they told me that you're not supposed to sit at home, and that's how like maybe Bangalore was destined to happen.
How
And
did you choose
my
that
uncle,
university? Like the
like
university you
I was
studied?
scrolling through, yeah, I was scrolling through colleges, okay, and there were very few colleges because I was already late. Admissions चालू भी हो चुके थे और खत्म भी हो चुके थे. So I was randomly going through the colleges, and my dad was like, "Okay, fine, I will send you to Bangalore because मेरे uncle और aunt यहीं पे मेरी मौसी और मौसा यहीं पर है." So that's when they were like, you just scroll, like you just see where you want to go, and we'll send you off.
Hmm.
तो मैं colleges के options scroll कर रही थी, and that's when I found out Jain University. And for some reason, I mean, I hate it to break it to people that Jain University is one of the most reputed colleges in North. Like they have a really good name. वो हमको पता है because हम वहाँ से पढ़कर निकले हैं. बाकी North में it's like South का MET.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so like good placements and
Good
all of
thing
that.
many people don't know about it because our
Yeah,
reputation is
exactly. And
tarnished.
yeah, like it's one of the biggest scams. People, please don't come to jail.
Yeah.
Like that should be the disclaimer.
But
Even
what
the
did you
hostel
study
sucks.
in the university, and like how was your overall experience of your study and with the management and teachers and everything?
I mean, I think you know the same thing that the management was very below average. Okay, you could have taught them better management, and teachers were okay. I felt, and there was not a lot as a part of curriculum because I felt जो मैंने अपने first or second year में पढ़ा था, most of the things I already covered when I was in my 12th grade. I felt like कि मेरा school का base काफी strong था और my subject knowledge was actually good. So
Hmm.
I didn't have to do a lot. I think you know it better because you were my roommate. You saw me how I used to study and all of that. मतलब मैं books भी लेके नहीं जाती थी colleges. Like I was so carefree. First hour तो attend होता नहीं था मुझसे. So that is how the college was. College was an okayish experience. I did BCom, and my specialization was entrepreneurship and business management. So I did not do the plain BCom. I did a specialization along with the BCom.
You did some
वो ज़्यादा कुछ
certificate
help.
course with that, like
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
college.
Entrepreneurship and business management is a certification. Like it's an added certification course along with the BCom degree that I had pursued. So that is all about it. And then I got placed, and I
How
guess
was
yeah,
the
that
placement
is how the
process?
college.
Was it easy for you, or was it tough?
I mean, the placement process was fine. I felt. I mean, it was kind of a very monotonous thing where you have to give the aptitude and then go through group discussion, then interview. And so the companies which I wanted to get into pehle, I mean, the packages were low, the profiles were not very pleasing because I was so firm about the fact that I don't want to be an auditor. So yeah, society general happened. That was the first company I got into, and they offered me a role of a finance analyst. So yeah, Society General happened. That was the first company I got into, and they offered me a role of a finance analyst. But later on, when I joined the company, had gotten to know that I scammed over there as well. So you see, misery is my middle name, irrespective of whether it's school, college, or any company. That struggle wala phase is
Yeah.
like my
And
go-to
it's a
thing.
reputed
Bina
company,
struggle kiye,
like
I
a
can't give.
old company, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was an investment bank. So I was very happy about the fact that, I am getting into the profile that I always wanted to, and I'm working with the companies because I did shortlist a few companies जिनके साथ मैं काम करना चाहती थी. And obviously, Society General was one of the companies where I always wanted to be.
Hmm.
And when I got into that company and we were doing our training 8 months, so like the curriculum was very solid. It was very detailed, it was well oriented. So, I felt that, I am going to do magic with my professional life. But then later on, when I got to know that I have to become a part of operations, I was like, fuck. That was the first reaction I gave to the entire thing. And later on, when I actually had spoken to the management, they were like, they had to deploy me to a different job position altogether based on their policy and discretion. And the most fucked up part is because our placement had a rule that once you have accepted the offer letter from one company, all the or other offer letters that you have at hand will automatically be cancelled.
Hmm.
So you won't be able to accept any other offers. So even though when I had offers from Northern Trust and 2 3 different companies, I could not really go ahead and persuade those because I already said yes to
This
Society General.
yeah.
Yep.
But it was
So
quite
that kind
toxic
of
for you,
happened.
right? Like towards the end, especially. So, what made you actually switch, and what were the signs of that toxic culture, and what were you feeling exactly that time?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that, my potential was not used to its fullest. That is the first feeling that I got. And when you get into your professional life, there's a different kind of enthusiasm that you have towards the work that you do, right?
Hmm.
But when I started working, even though it was a new environment altogether, I had never been a part of any corporate, like everything was new. I was new to corporate, hired as a pre-cheap labor, let's just put it that way. So that kind of thing, like literally put me in a position where I was supposed to be excited. Like if you talk to someone, they're excited, they're nervous. But I was numb. After knowing all of it, I was very numb and I hated it. Like every morning I used to wake up around like 5 o'clock because my shift timing was from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you can understand that, you have to wake up early in the morning to work. I had to train my mind. Like I used to cry, and that happened to me very frequently. And I was like, Shubha, it's fine. I think, not like I had spoken to a lot of people, a lot of my acquaintances, uh, to even my family members, to my brother, and they were like, when you start your career, it's not necessarily, it is not necessarily important that you get what you want. So you have to work towards it.
Hmm.
But then there are some people who are like, you have to settle for less. And not gonna lie, I've cried a lot in the process. I mean, I could have left the job, but I was like, let me just complete my probation. I went to the upper management, to the higher ups, and I told them that, how I was offered a different profile and they never came for this profile where I've been deployed to. And they were like, okay, fine, we're
Main
considering.
reason
So
to
they kind of
leave
gave me hope.
was also that, right? Or was it
Sorry.
something else also? So the main reason to leave the company was that you didn't get the thing you
Yeah,
wanted.
I mean, yeah, people had been darling to me, not gonna lie. I'm talking about my colleagues. Okay. Obviously the manager has to be the manager because he wants the work to be done. So, he can't be so blunt about it that I'm being a nag or I'm crying over the work because I was good at my work. My clients were happy with the work that I was doing. But
Hmm.
I was not only happy with the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
So, it was more about the self-satisfaction. And later on, it is very surprising, it is very ironic. I got the profile I wanted after, like literally working my ass off for 10 months. But then, I was so done with the company because they put me a condition that we're not going to give you hike, although I worked for a year in that company, like 10 months, like equivalent to a year.
Hmm.
So they told me that, we're not going to give you a bonus. We're not even going to give you a promotion because you decided to change. But they're not understanding that it is
But
not my fault.
that's what you
It
signed
was
up
them.
for, like in the first place, right?
Exactly. I was like, you were the one, and when you didn't have the position left, you could have rejected my offer letter. I mean, it was a chit system.
Hmm.
It wasn't a deliberate choice to put me in that particular operations department, correct? Like it just happened. I just happened to be a part of it. So, like a lot of people got brushed off in a way. Like, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people in that company and they told that, that's how even they were scammed. So that kind of thing happened. But yeah, I mean, they chose not to speak about it. And I was so firm about it because I just started my career and I had nothing to lose.
Hmm.
I was firm in my head that even if the company kicks me out, on what basis they will kick me out? I am not incompetent because I was getting appreciation from my client or from the people who are working overseas every now and then. They wanted me to be in the company. They were recommending my name to take up a few things. I had already done a few demos for the company where they were preparing a different chat script altogether. I was a part of it, so I did my bit. So
Yeah.
it's not that they could fire me based on the incompetency or whether I was not good at my work. So that was never the case. And me talking about the company, I will, because if you have a cell where people can go and talk to the HR people who would I not take up a chance? Because my mental health was so bad that I just couldn't take it up, even though when I cleared the like the cleared the interview round for whatever job position I wanted. I still felt that no, this company cannot be a fit for me. And I left the job. And you won't believe, when I left the job, I didn't have any other job at hand. And the only choice I had was either I should go back to my family or prepare for my master's. And even if I have to prepare for my master's, I'll have to go through the entrance exam. For that, also, I had to go back to the family. And I was not ready because, the independence is overwhelming, but at the same time, it makes you feel so much of a better person. You have so much of, like self pride within you.
Because you were
So,
saying
that
younger
kind.
back then.
Yeah. So that kind of happened, and I left the job. I didn't have I didn't have anything, and my notice period was of 2 months, and I was like, अगर 2 महीने में कुछ नहीं आया, तो like I'll have to rush back.
But
It's like either you make it or you break it, kind of a situation.
yeah, would you recommend this company now that you know what happened to you?
See, it cannot be. I would say when it comes to company, it's again a very broader spectrum. Like what happened to me can happen to people, but I would say if it has happened to people, or if if somebody come across the same situation, they should not really tolerate it. They should voice it out, and they should always be eager to let go of it if they don't really have that kind of responsibility on their shoulders.
Hmm.
Uh, touch wood, I have been blessed enough to not have that responsibility of my family on my shoulder. And that is one of the reasons why I could leave the company without even thinking twice about their repercussions. But it cannot be the same with other people. So there are a lot many factors. So when it comes to job, it becomes very, very objective and it becomes very, very personal.
But the overall like work
So
culture
for
was
me,
okay, so it wasn't like too toxic or something like that. It was just in a way your particular experience.
department is good. So it depends a lot on the team and the process you're working for. There are
Your
multiple
voice
processes.
keeps
Like
breaking.
some people are into HR, few of them are into accounting. So yeah, I mean that is all to it. Like you have altogether like different things, and it all depends a lot on your manager, the kind of process you've been given, or the team you're working with, the clients you're working with. So I feel like like if you want to settle down and be like, हाँ आराम की जिंदगी चाहिए, कोई टेंशन नहीं चाहिए, then this is the company you can plan your retirement with. But if you really want to challenge yourself or growth चाहिए, then I don't think so this is the company you can be with.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the company would have evolved over the years now, but my experience with the company was a bit of bittersweet, but ठीक है, I mean, it's fine because the work pressure was a lot, so I kind of became multitasker,
Yeah.
and now I can work under pressure. So I think there was also a few good gains, I would say.
Hmm.
मतलब obviously मतलब all of this did take a toll on my mental health, but again, like बुरे के साथ कुछ अच्छा भी होता है. So
Yeah.
that acha wa, like I came across a lot of people. I learned from them. I learned from their experiences. I learned how to behave, in a corporate culture. and I know what it is to work with a company, and like how you have to be patient in certain situations. So it was not all bad. The only worst thing that happened to me was because I was the unfortunate one to be a part of something that I was not supposed to be. So that is all to it. I guess that's how I will summon up my first company experience.
And then after that, you joined the company you're working in right now, right?
Yeah, yeah. So one of my closest friend Nidhi, she works in Deluxe. So even she joined SG, and the same shit happened to her as well. She's a finance student, and even she got deployed to operations. So she left. She couldn't take it. She left in 2 months. She was like, I can't take this, and that's like 2 to 3 months, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So that's how we became friends, and we spoke. And she told me about this entertainment industry, Deluxe Private Entertainment. And when she told me about that, like I thought, like when I heard the company's name, I was a bit peculiar that okay, Deluxe, what is it? Is it like some travel agency? Like, are we going to run buses or what? So that was the first thing. I mean, my dad even heard it, like my dad heard it in an extreme way. He thought I'm working for Durex. And I was like, bro, what do you
That's
expect out of
another
me?
episode.
What would I do at Durex? Yes. I was like, what I would do at Durex. So, that is one funny story. And then later on, when she told me about it, that we work with all these big studios, be it MGM, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney, HBO content, Warner Brothers, Marvel Studios. So even YouTube, Facebook. So we are the ones who have the monopoly in the market, and we are the ones who does the subtitling and even the dubbing. So there's a localization department, there's the dubbing international department. So it kind of gave me the thrill. I wanted to be a part of it because the job sounds way too cool. And I always wanted to be a part of client facing, and I am into client facing. So who does not really want to be a part of client facing? And then I applied on LinkedIn, and I got a call from the HR that, like I have been shortlisted, and I will have to write my exam in a day or two. They will let me know when. And I wrote my exam,
So
I cleared
what
that as
title,
well.
like,
Then my
what
interview
job title
happened
was
with
it?
the manager. So the job title is account coordinator.
Okay, and like, what do you do in that job?
So yeah, so I basically work for the subtitling department. Like I act as a license between the client and all the internal departments, be it production or the linguist
Hmm.
and tech check, QC, conversion. So all the internal departments. So these are some internal departments. You might have to erase out the name of the departments. I think you can do that.
Okay, I'll cut that part out. One.
Yeah, I mean, hmm. Yeah, so like how I mentioned, we work as a license between the client and the internal department. So we are the ones who does the subtitling. When you actually watch a movie, you see the subtitling. So we are the ones, look who get it done. We also have the subtitling counterpart, dubbing counterpart, where they take care of the dubbing.
But
Because,
you're part
we
of
see one
subtitling.
movie. Yeah, I handle subtitling. I feel it is comparatively way much better because then
Hmm.
I mean there's a lot of work, but then again it is kind of very smooth because we have a production, we have an internal department who's working along with us. So when you work with us, you kind of share your responsibility.
Yeah, that's true.
So and yeah, I mean we have the coolest job because we have the access to the content way prior it gets released on the OTT. So we know, like we can kind of flex, but we can't really talk about the content because obviously it's a job. We can't really show it to people. We can't really talk about like,
What
what's
is like,
coming out.
can you name one show or movie which you watched before any knew this is gonna blow up or this is gonna be so good? Can you name one project you worked on which has released already?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fuzzy. So I worked on Fuzzy, and I know that Fuzzy created a buzz. So Fuzzy was very, very, very popular. So That is one series that I can actually name, because I know for people, like it's very easy for them to kind of just watch and be like, okay, हाँ, fine, we'll be the critic. Okay, series was nice. यहाँ पे थोड़ा mundane हो गया था ना, the plot had to be a little bit more interesting and all of that. But हमसे पूछो, I'm not even kidding. We literally do the subtitling, and I was like, please, your project khatam ho. I was so drained that I wanted to run away. Like, it was a very complex project because we work on like 32, 33 languages.
Hmm.
And and also like some of the dubbing part also needs to be done, because considering it's a Hindi series, it cannot be vernacular to everybody. It can only be vernacular to us, but not all the people, because we are the Hindi native speaker, correct?
Hmm.
But we have to create a series and we have to put it out on the platform based on like on the different kind of targeted audience that we have.
Yeah, different languages.
So and was one of the, like, the kind of the sold series on Amazon Prime, because it was like most talked. It had one of the highest rating. It even got elected into a number of awards that Amazon has. So that's
Even from
how
an outside
like,
perspective, it was one of the best series of the year, and overall hype was also quite good, and we could see the potential all the actors had, like be it the main characters, all the or the side characters. So it was quite good, and Raj and DK is the team is always
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And Shahid Kapoor did talk about it, that his life changed after doing Farsi. The kind of the recognition he got, and
Yeah.
the kind of boost he got in his career, it was different. Like, he told that whatever he has gotten from the movies was altogether a very different experience when he did OTT. And he is glad and he feels blessed that he was a part of it. Like, he has spoken in one of the interviews that how he has talked about the transition period, like how he has gotten so much appreciation for the way he acted,
Hmm.
because like Farsi was designed with a lot of precision. But all I can say is that earlier when I used to look at subtitling and be like, ah, fine, why people need subtitling? Trust me, it's too
Now
much
you do.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I know, because
Now
you
you appreciate
literally,
it.
yeah, it's like it's my bread and butter. It pays me, guys. Come on, you can't really negate subtitles. Please
Turn
pay
on your
subtitles.
subtitles, guys.
Yeah, even if you're subtitling, like, turn on your subtitles on YouTube. Like, everywhere you go, just turn on your subtitles.
Yeah. So, like, do
So
you have
yeah, I
any
think that is
inside
all.
gossip, or did you meet any of the celebrities or people we know, or famous directors, actors, producers?
Yeah, I mean, I we did have a few famous producer who came to our office as well. The director of V Ray the Wedding. So he came to the office, but I was unfortunate that I couldn't really go to the office, and I attended the virtual event because I was with my mom and dad. Like, I was with my family. I was not in Bangalore. So that is how it was. I mean, but yeah, we have, like, like, gotten the chance to interact with a few famous people. But then again, that there are a lot of people. So, like, you creating a mark is very, very difficult, because it's all, it is all in the professional sense.
But you did meet, you said you were
But
having meeting with Shahid Kapoor as well, right?
I mean, it was like only the dub session, the recording part. The recording part, because like every actor wants to give their like their original voice. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't really want a dubbing artist to like dub their voices, and I think that's the best thing you can do as an actor.
Yeah, because
So that
it's very
is,
weird as a viewer also when you hear like one part someone else is talking, and it's like ruins the whole thing.
yeah, I think that kind of reminds of our childhood memory, because when we used to watch the South Indian movie, that to be in the Hindi dubbed version, we could easily figure it out, because those actors were not really talking in Hindi. It
Yeah.
was dubbed by someone else. So, like, that time we were very small to understand any of it, but now that we have the sense of it. But it is commendable, the way that people show dedication and all of that, like how dedicated they are towards their work. It kind of, like, makes you feel nice, and it is good. Yeah, I never thought I'll be into in entertainment industry. Like, my parents still don't understand. They're like, what do you do? Just watch movies. And I was like, yeah, whatever floats your boat.
But
I could not explain it to them what exactly I do.
yeah. But do you get like any sorts of inside gossips from your colleagues also? And if you can tell me something without naming anyone, you can do that.
Like when you talk about gossips, like what exactly? Like the series that are coming up?
No, no, anything like about basically any celebrity gossip or humors about things which are happening inside the industry, be it film related or their life related, anything like that. Because
I mean, we
your
don't really get a
colleagues
buzz
might have.
about that. We
Hmm.
don't really get a buzz about that. But whenever a new project comes into, we definitely know the release date before it gets assigned because I work for the Amazon Prime desk. So, if
Hmm.
there's any new project that is coming up and will be released in the forthcoming months, I do have a visibility because then we are a team, we are working together, correct? Like we all are working together, we have to have a visibility. I mean, if there's a high security title, we sign the NDA and we keep it like a top secret. So that is the kind of a thing that like, not about the actors, I would say, because that is definitely not our area of concern, that what's been happening. But we definitely get to know a lot about what hype is, what hype is going to be with the movies or the series that are coming up on the platform.
Because you can already
So
see it.
that is something that we get to see.
Hmm.
Yeah, like literally before the trailer comes out, like you guys get to know, okay, fine. Mirzapur is coming out, a Family Man is coming out, or like How Farzi is coming out. Like you got the announcement way later that these trailers are coming out. But we just got to know like way before
You
it was
can
anywhere there
anticipate
because we had
afterwards
to
that
start working
huh,
on
this
it.
will be like big. So yeah.
Yeah, so like literally, like when you see the budget and the amount they're spending, the number of languages and whatever services they have asked us to render, it gives a fair idea about what needs to be done
Hmm.
and how big of a show is. And when I look at the cast, like the star cast speaks a lot. Like if it's Pankaj Tripathi, if it is Manoj Bajpayee, it's gonna be big because they are character-driven actors. Like they come on the screen and they're phenomenal. Like you will fall in love with them.
Yeah.
So that is how it is. Like I mean, it feels good because, but trust me, it is very very unplanned because I never thought that I'll be a part of this in entertainment industry. It was never in, it was never ever my plan.
Yeah.
I never even remotely considered that I'll be a part of it because it was such a different experience.
But like your overall, what's your overall experience, and would you recommend it to people like who want to apply to this company or entertainment industry for say or
Yeah, yeah,
particularly for
yeah.
crime?
Yeah, definitely. Like who wants to work into the client facing industry or really wants to like multitask a lot because as a subtitling AC we do a lot. We do the setup, we have a lot of talks going on with our point of contacts, with our clients, even with the internal departments, and so I feel like it is a very good platform for someone who's starting their career because then like they get a platform to showcase what they're made of and like to learn a lot of process,
Hmm.
even though you have to do a bit of a micro macro management. But come on, like which job you cannot call it mundane? Like every job become mundane after a point. But definitely the people over there, they're very helpful. I am blessed. Like I not even once I felt that the management was not considerate towards me. And I'm not saying this because I work with the company and I'm still with the company and I'm scared that what if they get to see it and I'm out. No, but actually the management is good. Sometimes the work can get overwhelming. You feel like you want to just lay back a little. But yeah, I think that is all to it. But if people really want to join the company, I think they should because there's a lot of exposure. Initially there is, and
and
later on then it depends upon the person, like how they would want to see their growth.
and they can apply through LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, they can apply through different job portal, but I would say LinkedIn is a reliable source. And if you have someone in Deluxe, please guys hit us up. We get a sum of referral amount as well, so
So
we'll
you
be
can
more
actually
than happy
comment
to
down
help
this
you.
if you want to apply for a job, and yeah, she can give you a reference.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll drop my LinkedIn profile, my URL. You guys can reach out to me and I'll make money out of your referral.
Yeah, as many as we can.
Yeah. And
So
I'll give you a 20% commission, Shambhu, not more than that.
yeah, okay, fine. I'm I was not expecting it, so
What, you want 50-50? We can do that as well.
expecting zero. But coming to our last question, uh,
Yeah.
with your overall academic and your professional life, जो भी बचपन से लेके अब तक हुआ, what are the three main advices you will give to people out here? You can think about it.
The first advice I would give it to. No, actually, like these are some very spontaneous advice that I can give it to people. First is that, just try it out. Like try to get exposed to almost everything, just try it out. Keep trying because you never know. Sometimes what happens is we feel that, because when we are in a limited environment, we feel like, this is the best career option. But when you explore a lot, when you get into the depths of it, that's when you realize that, oh, there are a lot many career options. So I would say explore a lot. And the second is ask too many questions. Like always voice yourself out, like voice it out. Irrespective, shut yourself up. The more people will try to dominate you and dictate your terms. And the third is please know your worth and never settle for less. You
Yeah,
might feel that, I might not get a better job, but trust me, you never know what you're worth. You like literally you're worth everything. Just like go all out and do everything you can and never settle for less, I would say. Because like when you get into a profession and when you see yourself performing, because I can definitely vouch for it. I come from a finance background. I have no history of how this whole client services or entertainment industry works. But ever since I have become a part of this company, I've been doing really well. My work is appreciated by everybody. I know my shit. So if I can do it, I feel like everyone else on this fucking planet can do it. So just know your worth and never settle for less. So these are three things. Like if people like they know their shit, they're all right. Then you need to know like which one to grab.
that is some great advice, and thank you for doing this podcast today. It was great knowing you, like re-knowing you again, because like we already know all this about each other. Starting from your school days to
I hope it makes it to your page.
yeah, it will. Starting from your school days to your experience in university.
I hope it makes it will.
Huh?
Part that I'll become famous. That I'm being greedy right now, very very greedy. Like once you become famous, I'm just gonna bask in this glory. Oh, it's my friend's YouTube page. You know that she's a famous
Want to
YouTuber.
share your like LinkedIn or something, or somewhere you want followers or something. Like 12 people will watch this video, and if you want like more, 12 people to follow you, you can say what you want.
No, I mean, I am just waiting for the response. Let's see how it goes. So once I see that, you're just getting more views, I'm gonna secretly drop my LinkedIn news. I was like, yeah, guys, come follow.
I don't,
I'm waiting for my referral
yeah,
amount.
it happened like that, but okay.
I mean, we can be optimistic about it. The
Okay,
rest is all destiny.
yeah. But that was it for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you listened through the end of our around 40 plus 40 minutes podcast. And I will see you again. Please follow Shades of Shambhavi and subscribe to my channel and like this video. Bye bye.